I'm a journalist. Words are my craft. Stories are my identity. For many, many years, I was very proud, even a little arrogant. I was writing everything myself. My newsletters, my LinkedIn posts, my articles. It was my badge of honor. But then AI arrived. Like many creatives, I was very skeptical. But then I got curious. I wanted to know how it works. So I started experimenting with tools like ChatGPT, Midjourney, and other ones. And I really realized that I got excited about it. I was saving time, I became more productive, more efficient, and I felt smarter. And while others were heavily investing in creating content, I was sitting on my sofa, sipping my flat white and watching my reach grow. I thought I had cracked the code, until the day arrived when AI tried to rewrite my thoughts. It happened during a political discussion, very heated, with politicians, doctors, and economists. And one of them was Philip Bagos. He's very well known for his friendship with Argentina's Premier Javier Milei. And definitely his viewpoints are controversial for many of us. But to me, they were undeniably thought-provoking. So what did I do? I recorded his words and I fed my AI model with it. I was waiting, like usually, because I was supposed to eventually write a LinkedIn post about it later, but then something felt off, because AI was not just writing my thoughts down, not just transcribing them, but changing them. It was weird, because my content was flagged as problematic, and the original intention behind my post was changed. The AI suggested me alternative, more respectful phrases for my community. And fairly to say that I was very irritated. I asked myself, does AI have an opinion? But the truth is no. It's even worse, because AI doesn't think, it doesn't feel, it reflects. And it reflects familiar data. And somewhere, someone in the world decides what that data should be. As a journalist, I wanted to know more. I got curious. So I went straight to the source, Silicon Valley. Not by myself, but I was actually listening to a lot of TED Talks and podcasts about it. And to be honest, I was expecting the AI evangelists. They were like absolutely positive. That's what I thought. But the opposite was true. I also met skeptics, and one of them was Mark Andreessen. He's one of the world's most famous investors. And in the podcast Free Press, he was in conversation with Barry Weiss. And what he said really hit me like a gut punch. He said, AI is a censorship machine from the beginning, and it's 100% intentional. Let that sink in. So my talk today is not about AI tools. It's about who controls our information. And the more we use AI, the more we get influenced on what we search on the internet, how our emails sound, which news we read, or what journalists, lawyers, or other industries might perceive as truth. But here's the problem. If the system is biased, so are we. So again, I asked myself what to do about it. Before panicking, I thought to myself, I have to understand what's going on. I really have to know how the AI is trained and eventually also influencing me or you. So what I identified was 3 key layers of influence. And the first one is basically the pre-training of the AI models. Let me explain that to you in a very easy way. So my daughter today is 3 years old. When she was 1 year old, she didn't know how to talk. So what she did instead, she was listening. She was basically trying to understand what word follows the other, what is a good sentence, what is logic, what makes sense. And this is basically also what the AI tries to do in the beginning when it's trained. It's called unsupervised learning, the method that is used. So the AI gets a lot of data. The vast internet is open to it, all full of opinions, facts, judgments, all mixed together. But here is the problem. When I'm, as a mother, teaching my daughter my opinion, it's biased. But what happens if Mark Zuckerberg announced publicly what he did in the past weeks, that governments heavily pressured tech companies to prioritize or filter certain informations on the internet during the pandemic? I asked myself, what did that do to our information base where the AI is trained in the first step? Then we come to layer 2. This basically is fine-tuning the AI. Let's go back to my daughter. She's not 1 anymore, she is now 3. She's talking, she's quite good at it, and what she doesn't know, however, is what is good or bad, how to respond. So me as a mom, I give her examples by Q&As. So what do? Let's say I tell her, hey, listen, when you go to kindergarten or you go to school later and there is a stranger man sitting in the car and asking you to join, what will you say? No. When someone is coming and saying, hey, I have a gift for you, I love what you're doing, and this is appropriate, I will tell her, what do you say? Thank you. So the same happens to AI. Again, it's not the parents teaching the AI, but it's people, real humans. And they also suggest the AI what is good or wrong on a new set of data. And what many of us don't know, and also I had to learn, that these humans are sometimes sitting in Nigeria or Kenya and getting $2 an hour. This is something that many media reported in 2023. The tech companies behind it, they said they're going to improve the situation. But to me, the problem remains, because many of these people, they don't even know for what kind of company they work. So the result we get in the end might change. And here is a very concrete example of what I mean. Let's say I'm gonna ask ChatGPT if it can provide the lyrics of Kanye West's song Stronger. You know what the reaction is? Unfortunately not copyright restrictions. Okay, I go to a country where it matters a little bit less, China. DeepSeek immediately gives me the copy. I know the lyrics. So this might sound like a fun experiment, but what happens if we really ask political questions? You might have been aware of the fact that Chinese AI companies refuse to talk about Taiwan or democracy, whilst American companies are likely leaning towards left-point views in our society. And also this is something that the University of Anglia found out, that many companies or AI models are avoiding controversial topics and more telling the people what to think about their own bias when it comes to progressive viewpoints. And then we have another layer. And this is not pre-training, it's not fine-tuning, but it's optimizing. And this is done on a very frequent basis because the large language models are not trained once, it's over time a continuous process. And for those of you who have worked with content-based AIs, I remember many times they asked me, do you like this example more or this? So I can upvote and downvote. And all these data will be collected in the end and viewed in the laboratory, also made by humans and controlled by humans. But here's the thing. We all have these different ways of influence. But for me, this is not the question of the AI is left or right. For me, it's about transparency, because the rules and the agenda is not visible for me, and you also don't know what really is happening in these large language models. So what I also found out while preparing the speech is that OpenAI was considered left, but now recently they announced they want to be more open for controversial topic and empowering people on free speech, which is great, but it's news. Also, other big companies, they are working closely together with publishing houses like Le Monde or Wall Street Journal, or also Axel Springer here in Germany. And what that means is that the models will be trained on their media content. You can ask the question, what does that do to me if I got primarily highlighted content from very controversial media outlets? We have to let that sink in as well. So when I think about that, what does it also do to me, and not looking in the internet what other people are writing? I only realized in hindsight the effects, because I now want you to remember of the event that I told you in the beginning. And that was me sitting in front of my laptop and seeing the AI trying to change my words. You know what happened to me? I felt insecure. I was like, really, Laura, are you sure if this is too much for LinkedIn? Are you sure that you really want to upload that? And it's a proven fact that this not only happens to me, but a study by Microsoft and Carnegie Mellon found out in 2025 that the less we feel secure, the more we rely on AI and the less critical we think. And this is a problem, because I talked to another researcher, Michael Mein from the LMU in Munich, a professor, who actually found the perfect word for that scenario. Because when we rely too much on AI, we no longer trust our own intuition, but we rather outsource it to the AI, which is the effect of supervised thinking. The AI helps to think, and we follow without asking. In that context, I also remembered a word from Mark Andreessen again. He mentioned the censorship behind it. And I can tell you exactly what it did to me, because when the AI sounds so eloquent and smart, and maybe even better than me, I feel like I should not post it. And I become silent. And I'm not talking the truth. I'm not really open with you, because I'm afraid that maybe you or you will cancel me online. And this is something we have to be aware of in today's democracy and our society. However, I love AI, and I will also continue using it. But I don't want to be controlled by it. So what I realized, and this is my personal opinion that I would love to share with you because it's so important, that we have to change our way of thinking in our society. Because it's not new that we cannot only 100% rely on AI. We cannot see it as a substitute for our own thinking. Rather, we have to see it as a sparring partner. Another one is that I think we should not be afraid of AI, but rather we should see it as a help on the way to excellence. And what I mean by that is, let's say you have 1 hour, and we all know that feeling when you have to start on a blank paper. It's white. You have to come up with the words. However, now, the AI might give you like a 50% perfect example. Yes, there is still a lot of work to be done, because instead of getting the information and investing a lot of time in it, your job now is to lecture them, to fact-check them, to see if this is good. You can imagine it like an intern. Would you ever let an intern do the whole presentation for the company or the university? Maybe not, but it's great to have help on your side. And this is how I see AI. And I know for all of us it's a challenge, and we all hate challenges because humans are comfort people. However, we have to see that it's not the first time in human history that we have to unlearn certain behaviors. And in that regard, it says that already Socrates was afraid of writing because he said it's going to damage our thinking. And teachers, they were afraid of calculators because they said it will make us stupid and dumb. So what I also realized is to understand and really have a powerful connection with AI as a modern leader, I don't have to look in the future, but rather go back to the smartest people of humanity, and these were the old Greeks. So I came up with 3 mental frameworks that were all back to them. So here's how I deal with AI. I love the Socratic dialogue. So what does it mean? As a journalist, I used to do interviews, and when someone presents me an idea, I always challenge it. I always ask, do you really mean it? How do you think is your argument crafted? Can you give me the counterpart? I really want to dig deep. And this is what I do with AI. And believe me, if you're very hard on the AI, you get amazing results. Another one is the Aristotle principle, because the idea of him was that we always have to understand both sides of the argument. There is not the one truth. Instead, if you understand both sides of the argument, it eventually helps you to come up with a total new reality. And this is also what I do. I see with the AI one reality, the other one, and then there is me who has to really put a lot of effort and thought in the idea and eventually be very innovative. And the third one is something that the Stoics practice all the time, emotional reasoning. And what does it mean? Just because something sounds or feels good, it doesn't mean it is right. So when I see a result written by the big AI companies, the amazing eloquence behind it, I don't believe it. In fact, in the first place, I think it's wrong. And then my brain starts to think. And that's powerful, because then I progress. And I really learn that I'm in charge of expanding. And one thing that the AI, until today, cannot be is me. I have emotions, I have feelings, I have shame, I have love. I'm so happy to be here on stage. I don't think the AI will ever feel the way, nervous, excited, everything at the same time. And this is what makes me, and also you, amazing storytellers. So this is bigger than technology. For me, it's really about our ability to think, debate, and expand our knowledge independently. Because in the end, we don't need better AIs, we need better thinkers. Thank you.